Hi, I'm Tina, and thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join me here inside the Divine Joy Circle for another episode of Joyful Connections. And I'm very happy to be welcoming back one of my special guests, Nalini from Chalice of Wisdom and feeltuning.com. Welcome back, Nalini.
Thank you, Tina. It's good to be here.
Yeah, gosh. I would just love for you to share a little bit about, we're leading up to Equinox time, and I was just reading in some of the astrology reports and everything, how they're talking about this being a big reset and recalibration time. And yeah, I'd love you maybe to talk a little more in depth about what that is, what that means, and especially for anyone who may not be astrologically attuned.
Okay, sure. Yeah, the astrology for this month of September 2016 is just nuts. It's great if you really like the change that's happening. There was a new moon on the 1st. There's another new moon at the end of the month. So that's a double reset within 1 month. And it's, of course, the September eclipse window. And that always, an eclipse brings things that were hidden to light. It also occults, or just another word for hides, things that have been in plain sight, because it shields the light for a bit and it creates an opening. So there's a set of paired eclipses every fall, every September, toward that time of the year. It's a different season for you. And also in March. And it's interesting because this big reset that everyone's talking about is actually lasting in between the two eclipse windows, from the eclipse window in September to the eclipse window in March. There's this huge reset happening. And we can all say, yes, the reset has been happening for some years now. We're in a new cycle. What's happening right now, it's a little bit like World Meat Blender. Really. And this is good, because everything that needs shaking will shake. And everything that needs, to go into this turbulence, into this chaos, is doing so. And it's pretty much the whole world. So, if things seem really chaotic and, plans change all the time and it seems impossible to do that, there are astrological influences that are affecting that. Neptune is one of them. Neptune and Saturn are dancing rather tightly into this square, and that's structure and dissolution dancing together, in very general terms. That's this month, but then, of course, we have the effects of the larger planets for a long time. But even without just that astrology, paired with a lot of other things, that are dancing, Gaia is going through a particleization. I'm not even sure what words to use, but particle by particle, bit by bit shifting. It's huge reset. So if we think of a being, any being, you, me, a tree, a rock, as being a collection of things, a config file of these properties, like a mineral has these properties, or a tree has these properties, and the elements that come in. We think of the tree being the wood element, but it also contains earth, air, water, fire, because without the assimilation of that, it wouldn't have life on this world, right? Well, it's not just those elements, it's all the things that come together, whether it's our past lives, future lives, they're all happening at once. And the mind usually can't grok that. That's okay. But we bring in these what we call past life memories, or genetic memories. If you don't believe in reincarnation, it doesn't matter. You don't have to. And, or future life, or future experience things, or things that are in the bloodline that are extrapolated from the past, which is what our genetics do. Our DNA says, here are the patterns I've inherited, and I'm going to project that onto the future. It's just what DNA does. We bring that stuff in with our bodies, and then we become this collected focal point, this particle of that experiences life. Okay, every single one of those particles within Gaia, within the earth, is shifting right now. Every single one. Now, does that mean a tree will become a rock and a rock will become a tree? Probably not. Does that mean your body is going to forget how to be a body? No, but everything is shifting its form, and it will perform its functions in completely new ways. And that is being maybe radically uncomfortable because we have no reference point for this. In the bodies that we inherited or we built to come into this life, they don't really have a reference point for that other than our cosmic origins. So if we tune into like your essence, your authenticity, the light that comes through you, the spirit that comes through you, however you talk about it, it's just words for all the same thing. That is what to pay attention to and ground on, because what's happening from this eclipse window to the next one, which is March of next year, is just this radical turbulence and just the vibration of what in this world is called chaos that's just thrown into the mix of everything. And it's the threshing floor, it's the scourgify spell, it's all of that's what's happening on this world. And so it can feel and look like a bit of a mess at the moment. But as we all know, that mess has actually been there. And some say, oh, well, it's all coming to light now. It's all going to be fixed. Well, yes, but probably not the way that you think. Yes, it's all being shaken up so that it can be dissolved and things can change. And, everyone has a different idea of how that should happen and what's right and what's wrong. And so what helps is to let go of that a little bit, not to accept things that you would be radically opposed to or that absolutely don't resonate with you. Of course not. You're here to resonate with what resonates for you authentically, but to relax all that judgment a little bit and say, well, okay, this is what's happening right now. Deal with that. Don't project into the future. It won't help. You can't see it. It's a turbulent, chaotic mess right now. Can some things be seen? Yes, oddly, a little more than they could, which in this kind of turbulence is strange for someone who sees. Mm-hmm. You can see, because you can see the depth currents. You can sort of see the depth charges. The stuff on the surface, impossible. You can see it moment to moment, but then it will change. Tomorrow will be different. So the way to handle it is to relax, go inward, find your essence, get the spirit within, and let that move through you and literally take over and replace all the old patterns that are being shaken up to leave. That's in this hugely turbulent time.
That's great. And I think what's really interesting, because what gets in the way of that is whenever distractions show up or people procrastinating or delaying tactics or whatever. So that's interesting. Because the best remedy would be, I would imagine, to make sure that meditation practice is really, our sacred quiet time is just really
some kind
honored
of
every day.
And some kind of activity. Moving your body helps, even if it's just a short walk, yoga, tai chi, qigong, whatever you do. It's not so much what's better, although some things are, but whatever discharges the energy and helps it to move through your body, keeps your chi from stagnating, that will help. And to try and do even just something little every day. I'm not to overwork the body, because our bodies are really going through it right now. We need to take care of them. But the quiet time, whether it's meditation, contemplation, a quiet walk, you're going within time, however that is. Even if it's, doing a face plant on your bed and putting the pillow over your head for 20 minutes, that can work in a time like this. It's just your quiet time. And then also balancing that with some movement of the body to move the energy, to get these things shifted.
That's really interesting. I think also, as far as looking at the ways that we have operated in this world, the ways of going about things and taking actions or not taking actions, feels like that's all shifting as well. It feels like, wow, the instruction manual that we may have made up in the past is null, void, deleted, no longer functional. And so now what,
Well, first thing we do is we take those manuals and bonfire.
Yeah.
Really. But I wanted that one little, there'll be another lifetime for that. Really, it won't help. It's not that there wasn't truth in everything we've learned. This is a broader, wider, deeper expansion of truth in a context that we're learning. We're all learning it right now. So it's like, throw all that stuff away and deal with what's happening in the moment. Use what you've learned and see how it works, though. Don't assume that, oh, I know how to do this and this is going to work. Maybe not right now. Everyone's encountering that. Like, oh, well, this has always worked for me. Ooh, now it doesn't. Well, that's because everything is changing. It's no one's doing anything wrong. Everything is shifting. All that stuff, the manuals, the things we've learned. Yeah, was there truth there? Yes, absolutely. But it's all shifting now, radically shifting. And so shifting with it and really using the intuition, really using your connection to spirit in the moment, that's what will function. And not assuming it will stay the same from one moment to the next. You know, we're streaming, we're in morph mode right now, and it's not going to stay the same.
Yeah. Well, I've been finding it really interesting too to have a look at the different things that feel joyful for me in each moment, and then noticing how with some of those things there may have been some judgments on that, you know, such as, for example, the other day I was like, you know what, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm going to watch Netflix and I'm going to watch a whole series of, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it was fun. Then on the one hand, there was this voice going, well, that's not very spiritual, you know, you should be, you know, good stuff. And the other voice was going, well, yeah, exact opposite to what the other one was saying. And it was really interesting to observe.
The other voice to piss off.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was so funny because I'm noticing this now. I'm going, gosh, I thought that was cleared up. But it's almost as if this is giving opportunity to really, as you say, be present in the moment and to discover, you know, even what is joyful for you here and now may not be joyful tomorrow or, you know, even the next minute. And to notice where the judgments are there, because I think that really locks things in place, doesn't it?
It makes things very fixed. Like we learned all the judgments about what's spiritual and what isn't spiritual. That definition is radically morphing right now. I think everyone is going to find that 2 years from now, what you thought was spiritual, you're going to laugh at. Really, because it's expanding, it's getting bigger. We're holding more light, and these little fixed, you know, boxes of labels and potholes that we're in are, you know, they're ludicrous. I mean, they may have gotten us to a certain place, you know, but all of those definitions, and especially, the judgments, like how you judge yourself. Like sometimes when you need to just put your mind somewhere, something like that, like, you know, sitting and watching something, all of your other energies are doing something else. And we've been taught, oh, that's a waste of time. And the minute you catch your mind saying, oh, that's not spiritual, delete that one. Ask that that be shifted, because we're learning the truth of that, a deeper, higher, wider, broader truth of what spirituality actually is, what being our authentic essence really is. And, you know, there are those who will hear this and say, oh, well, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. Great. If that's your bubble and you want to live in it, great. That's what you came here to do. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Gaia will support you in that for a while. But if your commitments to spirit are to evolving consciousness, then that's what's happening right now. It's all the old definitions are being shaken loose, refined. Some of them will stay a bit the same. Many of them will just be completely different. And so you do something like that where you just say, I'm just going to put my body down. What you're really doing is putting your mind down, giving it something to distract it on purpose, so that all of the other energies can move. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you find yourself doing it 7x24 for a fortnight, I'd worry. You know, that's couch potato. That's not, you know.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. See, those are the judgments that show up. Oh, I'm doing something wrong. Oh, well, no. Just listen in the moment. Like, your joy will change in the moment. If it feels joyful, go with it. Yeah. And also watch, is your ego co-opting the joy? You're like, oh my gosh, I have to worry about that too. No, you don't have to worry about that. But just sort of feel, is this really the true, joyful, uplifting, or just what I need to be doing in the moment? Because I just need to put my mind watching something silly so that all this energy can shift, especially when you're going through an intense transition. Sometimes you have to do that. You know, it's different from walking through the day-to-day and being distracted by all the other little stuff, you know, that's not where you want to put your mind, because right now with the amplification of this chaos, it will create more of it. And that's about the last thing any of us needs.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some tools or resources that you recommend for anyone going through these times at the moment that would be helpful?
create the time. We don't say make time because, things are very timeless right now and that doesn't work. But create the space or the earth space time or whatever for yourself each day somehow, even just for a few minutes. So everyone's going through all kinds of stuff logistically and big stuff. Everything's up for everyone. Everything that was left over from the last cycle is being spun into this chaos. And the opportunity is either do it, deal with it, in other words, or drop it. So say you've been procrastinating on something for years, months, weeks now. You have a point right now where you can choose, well, I'm going to deal with it in whatever way, or I'm going to just cross it off the list. Because clearly that doesn't bring me joy.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's something like, taxes or paying a bill or whatever, procrastinating about those things is just silly. If you just put it on your calendar or put it on your schedule or write it down and do the diligence on the day, it isn't an issue. It doesn't nag at you. And thanking Spirit, using the gratitude process of thank you that this is taken care of. Thank you that my bills always get paid. Thank you that there's always plenty of money to do that. Thank you that the resources are there. And trusting, no matter what it looks like, that they will be. And there's an interesting dance there between what some people call magical thinking. If you just sit there and wish your bills away, that's called magical thinking. But if you're actually inviting your essence inviting Source to move through you to take care of it, that's something else. And then, yes, you will take the action steps like doing the actual paying of it or whatever. So, tool one, gratitude. Really moving into your own connection, your spiritual connection, your connection with essence, with the source, the force, God, the divine mother, however you choose to address all that is, the words don't matter. And creating the space-time whenever every day to really be in that and letting that take over more and more and more. In the people that I mentor, we talk about being the field. And it's kind of a weird esoteric concept. It's not as new agey as it sounds. And we're not talking about a cornfield here. We're talking about, you are the infinite. And that's just, for most people in the day-to-day, it's like, that's just not practical. Well, to let that move through you though, and guide your actions. It's like talking about the actions. That is the most practical thing you can do. And there comes a refinement. We're all in it right now where we take only the actions that are guided by that. You feel that flowing through you. And you take only those, what is sometimes called inspired action, but we take only the actions that we feel flowing through us inherently, it's just natural, brings us joy. And I've had people say, well, that's not practical either. No, it's the most practical thing you can do. It's not practical while you're learning it because you still have to kind of do diligence because you're not sure what to trust or, these actions have to be done anyway. And the practice that I was put through, as a gift from Spirit was, make a list and you're only allowed to look at it twice a day, which for me, I was an avid list maker, only twice a day, In other words, turn it over, you can't put it on your computer where it can just sit there and you can look at it. That's cheating. And then offer it up all the time and make the commitment. I will take the actions I am shown to take as I am shown to take, meaning no procrastination, right? Mm-hmm. Yoda was right about that. In about 6 weeks' time, it had completely changed how I do everything. Because during that time, a couple of things didn't get done and sort of fell off the list. And I did the usual, oh no, this didn't get done. Well, actually, as it turned out, had I done either of those things, one of them would have had to have been a complete do-over because the situation changed. It would have been a complete waste of effort. And the other one didn't need to get done because the situation changed and didn't need to happen. And I went, well, that got optimized rather neatly, didn't it? It wasn't ignoring it. It was letting something else come through and guide it. So very practical. It just takes practice like anything else.
Yeah, and that's what you were just describing now. That's really letting a source prioritize, right? So therefore, the more that you allow yourself to allow that to happen and to let that really flow through from within. I think one of the things that has been a bit of a distortion, or maybe a little bit of a challenge as we're learning this process, is that there's been this thing of like being grateful, for example, for things outside self. But really, I feel like the switch that is happening is really connecting in with realizing that it's your source essence that is infusing into the situations, and that is where the gratitude flows.
Be grateful for. Yes. Exactly. That's the gratitude is, oh, thank you that this flows through me. And not letting your ego go up that and go, oh, it flows through me. I'm so special. And so is everyone else. Calm down. You know. But it is brilliant. It is special. It's like, oh, look at what flows through me and handles things. And really moving into the understanding, the humility of your mind couldn't have done that. You know, you could not have dreamed that up. I mean, certain little things, sure, but you know, no. And so the creating and the experience starts to become this adventure of, wow, I can't wait to see how Source is going to handle this. And knowing, especially when it's a really, you know, gnarly, tangled, you know, it's just like, wow, well, thank you, Source, that it sorted. Thank you that it sorted. And I will take the steps I'm shown to take because that's my responsibility. And let's see. And things happen that are amazing. Constantly, your life becomes this just dance of amazement. No, it's comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I love that because I remember years ago when I first heard you talking about this and saying, oh, thank you, Source, for already having taken care of this and showing me the steps. And then that wonderment, like a childlike sense of, oh, I wonder how Source is going to take care of this one. Especially if it was something that my mind considered to be something really practical, such as money showing up or business showing up or, you know, whatever the things happen to be. This is interesting too, because it's like there's levels of judgment held within, wherever they come from, as to the practical things are difficult to let them be manifested. And you know, just the other things are easy. so I made notes. I had Post-it notes everywhere to remind myself.
Exactly, remind the mind, to let the mind be completely shifted. Your config file shift completely. Yeah. I know it's funny because it really takes listening, and it's the inner commitment and the follow through is important. Not just the okay, I choose for this change. Yeah. Not going to do it. I commit to, I will take the action steps I'm shown and doing it. And you'll miss a few, but then don't beat yourself up for that. Like I used to tell people, do a little end of day review, not a scorecard, but just because that's judgment and that doesn't help. But what were the intuitive hits that I received today? What were the intuitive, you know, guidance that I received today? What ones did I follow up on? And you just start to see, it's practice. How'd I do? You know, but not scoring, not judging, because the minute you judge yourself or someone else, it's a problem. So, for example, the practicality of this, I have an acquaintance who was being given guidance, was saying, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do next. I have to change my job. I have to do this. And I said, well, what's the guidance that you're receiving every day? Well, I don't know. Well, you know, that's frustration talking. We all get there. And I said, well, okay, what showed up today? And she goes, well, you know, it's the strangest thing. I keep walking past this restaurant on the way back to my flat, and they're advertising, you know, that they're hiring. And I said, really? And it keeps showing up for you. And now this is someone who works in, you know, is a professional, has been for years, is very educated, is a little bit overqualified for a restaurant job. And I said, really? Well, have you ever walked in to talk to anyone? She's like, well, I don't want to be a server. I don't want to work in a restaurant. I said, no. See, this is where we misread breadcrumbs. No one said you were going to go in and apply for that job. But if that sign, literal sign in a window is showing up for you and you keep noticing it, then one possibility is that they just have a really strong psychic projection on it and they're good marketers. And the other possibility though, which is very probable, is if you were to walk in there and talk to someone, you would make some kind of an energetic networking connection that will lead to something else. It's not like this breadcrumb is going to solve my problem. Everyone wants a silver bullet right now. They don't exist. it's that breadcrumb will lead to something else. And so I kept asking her, well, why wouldn't you just go in and talk to someone? Oh, I don't want to go in there. They have a bar, like it's not spiritual. I'm like, well, most restaurants and pubs in the world do, But it's that judgment coming in, the self-judgment, the judgment situation where, I don't know, because, the person never did it. And that's fine, because source will always show up something else. But we miss opportunities all the time because we judge them on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that particular restaurant or pub or whatever was full of drunken idiots, I wouldn't walk in there either. But if there's something, you're getting a sign there. So what is the sign telling you, instead of, oh, I don't want that? Because part of the weird human thing is we beseech source, and we say we know source has our best interests at heart, and then source makes something show up and we say, oh, I'm always being punished, I'm always being given the hardest thing, this is the thing I didn't want. And it's like, even like the law of attraction teachings, it's like, oh, well, that's a powerful manifestation of what you don't want, and you laugh and then you refine your attraction patterns. The underlying truth of it is, like, your judgment is being shown to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can recognize that, oh, I have a judgment here, ask for the truth. The truth might not be to walk into that door, but what's the truth here? Mm-hmm. And then it's easy to say, oh, I'm just being shown a judgment. Well, that didn't get rid of it, did it?
No.
So it's like, well, should I not judge? No, you should discern, absolutely. But judge, it just labels something, it puts something in a box that might have a treat in there for you. There might be something there that's a little nugget that will lead you to something else, or who knows, maybe there is a silver bullet and no one's discovered it yet because they're judging. We don't know.
Yeah. And I remember, I think Greg Braden who said, oh, if you want to hide the truth, then put it in plain sight, right? So maybe sometimes something is so damn obvious that you just don't, staring you in the face and you don't see it. So yeah, that's a great story.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, I think one of the other things as well is that many times thinking, oh, this is tying into the judgment energy in a way as far as wanting, and wanting implying lack, being separate. And so therefore you keep on creating more of what you do not have, or what you think you don't have. And so the judgment, it keeps perpetuating.
Exactly. It's a self-fulfilling pattern within you.
Mm-hmm.
Out there, out to get you. Well, sometimes, but there's nothing out there out to get you. It's like this is a self-fulfilling pattern that's created by judgment, avoidance, aversion. Well, I don't want that. Well, okay, what if you asked truth to come in and show you what the situation really is? It might still not resonate for you. You can also ask to be optimized so that your resonance navigates you all the time. And the reason people don't do that completely is they're afraid of it. I'm going to get navigated into something I don't want. It's like, yeah, well, maybe. Most of the time not. But if you say, oh, this is really what I don't want, and it keeps happening, you created that cosmic 2x4, so why aren't you listening to it? Ask for the truth, and it will dissolve into what really does need to happen. And then really sitting in the vibration of thank you that I have exactly not just what I need, because, oh, I'll have what I need, but not what I want. No, we're moving now into thank you that I have what brings me joy.
Mm. And then that is interesting. So I was having a chat the other day with someone. I thought what that will stir up is the old, no pain, no gain. So therefore feeling like the program, so therefore if you choose to make yourself priority number one in these energies, that means, as far as I gather, aligning with what it brings you joy, yet that is in complete contradiction to what however many years of programming have said. And so if you go for what brings you joy, you're being called selfish, you're being called irresponsible, you're being called all sorts of things. And it's like this program gets activated, it feels like you need a slap on the wrist or whatever, punishment, reward. There are so many layers in here. It's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And the truth is, the deeper truth that comes through is you're asking for thank you what brings my essence joy. Thank you for what motivates me, not what brings my ego joy, because it won't.
That's a really good refinement there. Asking for what brings my essence joy. Yeah.
unique to each of us. No one can tell you what that is,
Mm.
you know, but neither can your ego.
No.
And that's what everyone's learning. All of us are learning that. Like, oh, the egoic want is this, or the egoic desire is this. There's nothing wrong with desire. We need it to create. And it's not perceiving a lack. It's perceiving, oh, wouldn't it be cool to create this? That's where that energy comes from. Ask any entrepreneur that's ever been successful. This, I want to create this. Just because it would just be cool and fun. And why not? You know, the joy of it. And that's, there's different. And then also for those who are spiritual, you know, whatever your shifting definition of that is, you know, realizing that sometimes when someone wants to create from what you would perceive as ego, that's what they're here to do. Mm-hmm. And so maybe for you, it's letting your essence navigate you somewhere else, because that doesn't with you, but that might be their path. That might be what resonates for them.
Right, and that then brings back to letting go of the judgment and using discernment to what resonates, and go play there. Yeah.
Who you are to discern is you are source. You are the source essence that moves through you. You discern what resonates for you and what does not, absolutely. But for somebody else, maybe they're here to have that particular egoic experience.
Oh, such a juicy conversation, huh? Oh, this is great. All right, so let's just wrap up our call here for now. Anything else that you would like to share? Just anything that comes through.
Just about any of this. Oh, just do the best you can, because that's what we're all doing. And don't beat yourself up if you think you didn't do that today, because the likelihood is that you did, and that we're all learning what the best we can is in a whole new way. And the best we can is to follow that joy.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Nalini. Wow. For everyone watching, listening, if you'd like to find out more about Nalini, then you can go to chaliceofwisdom.com or go to fieldtuning.com. And I would recommend visiting both websites. They're both beautiful, offering different things on both the sites. And yeah, so allow yourself to have an experience of that. And thank you, Nalini, for being here again and for sharing this beautiful conversation. And until we meet again, go forth, let joy be your guide to a life that is worth waking up for every day, and many joyful blessings.